Hey. Oh my gosh. All right, so today I was going to talk about relationships again, but really get underneath this. I was just working with a client today, but I won't say their stuff at all, but it just brought up. I sometimes forget, because I've done this so much in my life, I forget what other people know, or, that everybody doesn't know these concepts. Because they're so good for you. They're so good for you, and they can totally transform any relationship you're in. Friendships, marriages. It's just like easy tools, right? And so, but I just looked down at my phone and I got the sweetest text right before I started this. I was like, ah. Anyway, isn't that funny how that happens, right? When you're in the vibration, or whatever you want to call it, the alignment. I call it the alignment of working on this thing, of being honest about this thing, right? So let's just get right to it. I brought my little tiny notepad, and we'll look in there, right? This isn't going to be long, but it can totally transform everything. So just be present with what is, doesn't matter what's going on around us. We're just committing this time to work on this, And one thing that was coming to my mind. Okay, I'll write it first. Oh, my beautiful journal. It says, "It's only with the heart that one can see rightly what is essentially invisible to the eye." Antoine Saint. I forgot his last name, starts with a B. The next part. All right, so here, look, blank piece of paper, right? I wanted it to be blank so that I drew it, but I don't have a way to hold this very well. So anyway, it is what it is. Let me just draw it and I'll show you. All right. Hello. Okay, so I'm drawing a circle right now, like a pie chart, okay? And so there's this, here, I'll let you guys look at nature, at the tree, it's awesome. There's this one piece of the pie, and the one piece is what other people do to us, okay? In the moment, we have a trigger. And there's another piece, and I'm gonna put hearts in it, and plus signs, because it's all positive, and all this stuff we've healed, I just put plus because it's positive, And the other one, I'm just gonna fill it in all black. And I used to put like negative signs and lightning bolts and traumas and stuff like that, right? Now I'm not gonna draw two of these right now. Maybe I ought to, but okay. You can draw one out yourself if it's gonna help you remember this more, okay? So what happens is one little thing happens, like let's say, my husband before, because I was married and for a long time, let's say he doesn't take the trash out. And so I've got all this trauma from childhood where I experienced really painfully. I'm just doing a teaching video. I just do that. I'm like, yeah, okay. Oh, I love the dogs. I just sit down wherever I am. I hope it's okay. Because this is their neighborhood, so beautiful dog. Look at that. So what happens is like, and funny, I was gonna just talk about a dog, but so he doesn't take out the trash, and then all these other really painful experiences we've had in our childhood. Imagine, and I don't want you to have to go too deep into that right now, because I can't be your psychologist over social media and stuff, but I want you to know, do this in a safe place, or do this while you can. Oh, I had to do the sun shining on me actually, so it's not just completely shined out, right? All right, so what happens is this thing, we all know, this thing right here brings up the trigger. It's the trigger that brings up all this old pain. And here's like the healed stuff we do. So what happens is we go into our subconscious. We go into this dark area sometimes. And a relationship will do that to us, and it will bring us back into our unconscious. It'll bring us back into like a child position. And so when we were a child, they were like the giants, you know? And sorry, the notification went up and I just was thinking about the text for a second. I'm still human. All right, so they were like the giants. Let me concentrate, because I don't edit these so that you can have it all one fluid thing. Usually I don't. So they were like the giants. We were like the children. And so we experience like we're powerless, and imagine like a child experiences like they're powerless, like we have to wait for the grown-ups, the giants, to bring us our food and our clothing, our protection, and the safety that we long for, the healing that we want. You know, we wait for them to bring us that. And when they don't, then we get into the old fight, flight, or freeze responses, you know, where it's like, I'm just protective. There's little kids around here, so the moms are like, what are you doing? Anyway, so what you do is you get into fight, flight, or freeze. So, or please, okay, that's the other one. Gosh, write this down. Honestly, get a notepad, write this down, draw the pie circle, understand, right, that here, I'll come more deeply present with you, because you deserve that. You are worth that. You know, I want to be aware of what all is going around me, but right now I'm serving you guys, so I want to be really present with you. And I love you. I love you. That's why I do this, because I want other people to be equipped and not to be left without, right? And so, look, when someone does something to us, like where the arrow is going, that's the one event, like my husband before, like not taking out the trash, and then it triggers all the time. People dumped all their trash on me and expected me to clean it all up, all the psychological, like all their pain, all of their woundedness, all of their rejection, all of their anger towards other people that hurt them, put it all on me. So what happens is in our childhood, we do this little thing as a child, and our parents have all of this trauma and anger, wrath from their childhood, like just pure rage. And they put it all on us for this one thing. And we feel like we're horrible, horrible people. Why do you think people go to substances? Why do you think I have such a heart for people that are on substances? I don't want to make excuses for people. You know, I just retweeted this guy is 5 years sober, I think, or 3 years. And there were these other people. Someone wrote underneath a comment that was way up there, was like, well, I try to get sober, but I have all these fake friends and then all these other judgy people. And it was a he, I think, all these reasons for not getting sober. That was so sad, but so interesting to look at, you know, not just for curious sake. Like, I would love to just send him about 100 links to videos, you know, that I've made to try to help people like him in his position. But he is like all of us. We all make excuses for why we hold on. It's funny. I had a feeling, you know, this is the lawnmower. I'm gonna move. But I said, don't, I hurt my leg from roller skating. Don't worry about what's coming around us, because it just is what it is, right? And so, so understand that we make excuses for, we can make excuses for staying where we are, you know, but there are reasons why we stay where we are. Oh, I don't want to go closer. The problem down here. Anyway, I'll just sit here. I'll sit here. We got it. There's no problem. Eckhart Tolle says there's never a problem. There's just a situation to deal with, to face, you know? And so we're looking at this, and we're looking at when these things happen, they provoke us to go back to a child situation. And we either go into, I'm gonna go into this tree. I had an image this morning of a pine cone. And so again, I'll just go under the tree that has the pine cones. There's a gate right here that has a camera, so I don't like going over by them because they're gonna be like, this is our property. All right. In fact, I don't know if that's poison ivy. That'd be funny if I sat on that. No. Okay. So, all right, so we go into fight, flight, or freeze, or please, where what we try to do when we go into automatic instead of consciousness. All my videos, I usually skip these teaching points because I'm just trying to teach you how to be a conscious being, how to be, because it skips all of this stuff. But you know, people sometimes can't make that leap. And I was taught when I'm working with my clients, when I did my internship a long time ago in Montreal, a very wise Jewish man was our mentor and teacher, and Dr. Alan Circus was amazing. And he taught us, like, if you jump up here, you know, let's say I jump 3 steps ahead of you guys to introduce this idea for you. And if people can't go there, then go 2 steps back or go 1 step back, go to where they can go. And so that's why I want to equip us again. This is like the basics, but it's so transformative. So look, imagine if you experienced all this wrath of your parents and you thought it was because you did this one thing, you know, you didn't study for your math test, or you didn't take the trash out, or you talked back one time, you know, and that brings them back to all the humiliation that person, that mom or dad experienced in childhood, and they throw it all on you because in that moment they're feeling the same feeling that they felt. Like I felt, you know, when I get triggered, let's say by the trash or something back then, before I was more conscious, you know, you feel, but sometimes things still trigger me. It feels just like that same feeling. They go right back to being children, feeling like someone's completely stepping on them and hurting them on purpose, you know? And so, so you can understand, we don't excuse people, but understand where this was coming from, but why it wasn't all your fault, and why you felt so guilty for all of these things, and then why people go and drink and take substances to try to numb all of this badness that their parents threw on them. So imagine there were 2 of these. So if I drew 2 of these circles, and if I end up editing this and putting, not editing, but adding comments and stuff, then I could put 2 of these next to each other. Then there's 2 people that get triggered by each other, and it's like the perfect storm, and it brings up all of this underlying stuff. And like what I say is, like, the more I work with people that come in, people are like, oh, isn't it draining for you? Isn't it hard for you to work with people that come into your office? It's like, no, these are the people that want to work on this. These are the people that are going to bring more consciousness into the whole world. Like, I'm so excited to do that, you know? And so imagine if we got more consciousness. I draw that picture. I'm going to draw it, okay? If we got more and more present, where it's like someone triggers us and it feels more like this small trigger, it feels more like that. And even if we go unconscious, I'm going to draw it here. One smiley face, but it's not just being fake happy at all. But if we got enough, maybe I'll draw it like light, you know, like shining light coming from all these hearts. Jesus said, you are the light of the world. He said this, you are the light of the world. And so you're meant to shine, not fake shine. But look, the more you get conscious, even if someone triggers you, I'll do the arrow again, and I'll write down the trigger, right? Even if someone triggers you you won't go fully unconscious. Never go full unconscious. If you know what movie I'm quoting from, then it's really funny. But anyway, so what happens is the more you get conscious, even if you're conscious right now and go, oh, that person's bringing up my perfect storm, that person's bringing up my childhood wounds, right? I just heard this. This is what I was going to start with here too, is this verse that said, cast your burdens unto Jesus. First Peter said this. The Saint Peter, which was around Christ his whole ministry, who knew Christ, who saw him die, who denied him, who said, no, I never knew that person. Nope, I never knew him, 3 times. And then Jesus asked him 3 times after the resurrection, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? This is the same guy, right? Whether you believe this or not, I always welcome all religions, but understand that in our understanding, Peter was a real man that experienced this enlightened being of Christ dying and seeing him and not understanding why he died, and then resurrecting and then not understanding how that could have happened or what was happening. That's not the way they predicted it to happen. So they looked like idiots. So why would they make themselves look like idiots? And anyway, but whatever, Peter saw this, and unless it happened, but I'm not going to argue about all that. It's like, here's Peter saying, cast all of your cares, all your burdens unto Jesus, because he cares for you. And then he talks about in your trials, don't be disheartened. Come with humility, asking, what is the divine love? What is the divine love trying to teach me in this? Because if you start complaining and you're like, see, God just wants to punish me like all these other people wanted to hurt me, then it says that your enemy, the devil, is like a roaring lion wanting to devour you and wanting to take you down, get you lost in all your addictions and stuff like this. But I wanted to speak to people that are Christians, because this was what was coming up in my heart, is like, but speak to all people, but especially people that do call themselves Christians, because I grew up with that, and I get so turned away from people using that label. So I try not to just use that label just to use it and go, see, I'm this, trust me because I said I'm this. No, watch my actions and see if I'm loving. But whatever is all these people are like, I'm stuck with all this woundedness, all this, and it's like, no. We pray. Jesus taught us how to pray every day, and everyone can use this mystic, ancient, amazing prayer. Our Mother, Father, our divine love, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I won't go through all of it, but there's this one part that says, give us this day our daily bread. Give us today the bread that we need, the love that we need, as we're honest with you about our burdens, right? To help us work through this trauma so that we're not owned by all our old trauma, and we don't keep throwing it on other people when they trigger us. We don't keep destroying all of our relationships because we're throwing all of our old trauma on them, and we're expecting them to apologize. Like, this was not my ex-husband's job, and I knew that even in it, to apologize for all of the pain that I had before in my childhood, right? It's my job to get more and more conscious and bring love into those areas, and health, and learn how to be at peace and not define myself by my traumas. This is why I'm always teaching you in all my videos, like, how to be really present and go, remember, connect with the part of you that was you before you had your name, before anyone had their hands on you. That's how Latoya said it before, one of her videos. Before anything bad happened to you, even people that I know were wounded while they were in utero, I just know from clients before, right? Who are you? Know yourself as that being that God created, that you are God consciousness, you are a soul, and you get to use this body, and we're learning something here on this earth. And it's not meant to be how to be tortured, and how to make yourself a victim all the rest of your life, and how to blame everybody else and constantly be pissed off and angry and throwing that on other people and feeling like a victim and helpless all the time and overwhelmed. I know all of that stuff. I know it because I was living that, and now I want to teach people how to love. Jesus said, love as I have loved you. How to know love in yourself in a real way. And you can't, how can you know love when you keep making yourself a victim, when you are a victim to all of these people over and over and over again. No, the triggers are our teachers. They're teaching you where the old wounds are and how to stop identifying with them and how to know. Someone taught me, that someone wise that I just love, you know, who lost his brother at a young age, and no one helped him through that. This man, I just love him so much. You know, he said, God will always give you enough grace to heal whatever wound has been inflicted on you. So there's, whether you believe in God or not, understand there's always enough love that can heal that can come in and bring healing. And so you don't have to carry that. You don't have to blame other people. You don't have to be stuck. This is why we go into flight. Flight is addictions. That's another form of running from your problems. There's this book from Anthony DeMello that's free online called Awareness. And it was so good. He was like talking about pretty soon, you know, as you learn how to disidentify from all this, not become numb, but learn your true identity, you know, then you'll start seeing these people just as frightened. They're just frightened. They've been frightened, you know, and so they weren't trying to hurt you. But it's not about making excuses, and it's not about letting them back in as they keep hurting you and blaming you for all your stuff. But it's not about taking responsibility for all their triggers. This is what I was telling someone, is like, look, if you say, oh, I'm so sorry, it is my fault for all of this stuff, all of this, you know, all your old wounds. No, then they never have to heal that. They can keep blaming you because you did this one tiny trigger for all of this other stuff. And then it's on you to read their mind, to heal it all for them. And I can't heal that for my clients, and you can't heal it for other people. You can only bring your own stuff in humility and humbleness and going, God, I don't know how to heal this stuff. I kept flying from it and running away into alcohol and drugs, or running away into trying to imagine people were loving me that weren't loving me, you know, making up stories. That's another way of flight, you know, a hidden form of flight that we can do, women and men. But I can see that. That's just been a real heartbreaker this past week, but it's shifted stuff in me so that real love can enter my life, you know, on a deeper and deeper level. So we flight into all kinds of addictions, hidden addictions that we don't see, that blind us. When we start lying to ourselves and go into these addictions, and they blind us from seeing our own faults. They blind us from seeing that because we're working so hard to shield ourselves away from that trauma, because we think we are that trauma, but you never were that. You were never meant to be treated like that as a child. It's not about minimizing it. It's about understanding that's not your worth. That has nothing to do with you. That has to do with how people treated you. Yes, you internalize the message that I'm not worth protecting and loving, but that's not true. That's just what their actions were showing. All right, I don't want to be late to my next meeting. And I'll talk about this all the time. I'm not going anywhere. I plan to keep attacking this with love, you know, and with insight and with reason, you know. Let us not forget to come and reason with one another. The Rastafari call it reasoning, you know. I got to do it one night with this beautiful guy, Joshua. So he sang for the Whalers. But anyway, I wish you so much peace and love. Like, share this with other people. Comment, ask me questions so that I can be more specific on these videos about where you're coming from. You can disguise it. You can say a friend of mine, because I know this gets personal. I wish you so much love.